Welcome back, folks, to my 100th video, and I'm going to be doing something very special this video. I'm going to attempt to win 100,000 Hong Kong dollars for this video. It's going to be a little while. I've got about a week and a half left here in Macau, so plenty of time to win. It's about 1,000 big blinds. The conversion rate would be roughly 20,000 Canadian if I do manage to hit my goal, which is almost a down payment on a very small apartment where I'm from. So hopefully all things go well, but as you guys may have known from my last two videos, filming is illegal inside casinos in Macau. You can't even take photos in there. So we are going to tour around. I'm in a new city. You'll have to wait till the next video to find out where I am, but you'll probably recognize it. But we're gonna go head out there. The weather's not great. There's a typhoon on right now, level 3, whatever that means. But anyways, let's head out there. We're gonna go walk by the beach or maybe a tea house. Who knows? We'll figure it out on the way. And we're gonna talk about a lot of poker hands. See you there. All right, folks, let's get into this. We are playing our first session in for 15,000, about 150 big blinds. It's hot. It's really hot. But we got a limp from under the gun. Hijack and cutoff have both limped, and we looked down at queen, jack, offsuit on the button. Looks like a good place to pick up some dead money, attack some weak ranges, so I bump it up to 600. Only the under the gun player makes the call, so we're going heads up to a flop of 10, 9, 9 with 2 diamonds. Pretty good. He checks to me, and I start with a check here. It's going to hit his range a little bit more than mine, and he's never going to fold a 10 or a 9, and I just don't see much sense in betting. So I check, and turn is the 5 of diamonds, giving us the third nut flush draw as well. My opponent checks once again. We start betting 800 into the middle. About half pot is what I'd like to do on these monotone or 3 to a flush boards, and my opponent makes the call. Hence the river. It's the 8 of clubs. What a way to start off. We make our straight. Question is, how much do we bet on the river? Probably going to want to go around pot here. Paired boards don't like huge bets, so I put 3,000 into the middle. After about a minute of thought, my opponent decides to call. Good news until my opponent rolls over. Ace, queen of diamonds. Okay, I guess we lose the minimum there, but really he should have just raised that pre-flop. We fold and move on to the next hand, but unfortunate for us. All right, on to the next hand. We open up the pocket kings under the gun to 200. I use a min raise until I'm in the hijack, then I'd go 3x. We got middle position hijack. I have called, and now small blind puts in the squeeze up to 1.2k. Folds back to me, second best hand ever created. We are putting in the 4 bet. Bump it on up to 3,000. Middle position hijack, get out of the way, and small blind makes the call. And heads up to a flop of 7-6-3 rainbow. Really nice flop. It's going to miss both of us. He's not squeezing pocket 7s or pocket 6s, so we can feel pretty good about this. When he checks to me, I put in a small bet here of 2,000, a little bit too big. I think 1,500 would be a lot better here. And unfortunately, my opponent just folds. Really, really tough to get paid here. It's, all right, you're not even getting floated by ace high. So, yeah. But pick up a nice little pot there. On to the next one. Okay, it's been a little while since we played a hand. And now we look at queen 9 suited in the hijack. We have an open from under the gun +2, and this is most likely a fold or a 3 bet, but I decide to call it this time. It's 325, but I make the call, and then button puts in the squeeze, but to 800. I never understand these very, very small raises, but anyways, under the gun +2 calls. We are never folding here, so I make the call as well. 3 ways to a flop of jack, 10, 10 rainbow. We do have the backdoor flush draw and the open ender, so gonna start with a check here when it does check to me, and button checks behind. Turn is the 8 of spades. Beautiful. We make our straight. Under the gun checks. I put in a bet of 2,000. And now button decides to move all in for his remaining 3.2k. Under the gun folds. We're never folding here. If he's got it, he's got it. We call river. The ace of clubs, not my favorite card. I show, and my opponent has the king queen of spades for the nut straight on the river. Unfortunate, that one is not going to go our way. All right, on to the next hand. I have a limp under the gun. Player in middle position bumps it up to 300. look on 8-7 of hearts in the hijack. Could raise, could call. This time I decide just to call. This invites a big blind, the button, as well as the undergun player. So we're going 5 ways to this flop of ace, 10, 9 rainbow with a heart. Checks to the original raiser, who puts in a half pot bet, a little bit under half pot, 600 in the middle. Gonna raise here. We're gonna have some 10 9s, we're gonna have some ace 10s, some ace 9s, pocket 10s, pocket 9s, a lot of strong hands. So let's have some bluffs as well. My weakest straight draw, 8 high, seems like a good one. Bump it up to 1.8k, folds back around, and middle position makes the call. Ends the turn, it's the queen of clubs, not a great card. King jack, jack 8 just got there. I'm not too worried about those hands, but also ace queen, queen 10, those sort of hands are never gonna fold now. My opponent checks it, and since this card is just so much better for him, I'm just gonna check this one back. We've gotta have some give ups. So I check river. It's the 6 of clubs. We do make our straight, and even better news, my opponent puts in a bet. It's a hefty one. 3.3k into the middle. I look over to stack, he's only got maybe 3,100 behind, so less than a min raise. We're making a lot of straights today. Let's hope that our third one is gonna be good. I move all in, and after a very long tank, my opponent decides to fold. Can you imagine a recreational player folding for less than a min raise when he's got at least like ace jack here? It's just wild. It's hard, so difficult to get paid here. But anyways, picking up a pot, can't complain. All right, final hand of the session. We looked at a pocket queen, so it's under the gun +2 open to 300. Obviously, we're gonna raise it up here. He's a little bit short though, sitting on about 60 bigs, so I don't wanna go 4x, it's just a bit too much. So I put in 1,000 and he makes the call. Ends the flop, it is 7, 6, 4, 2 clubs, 1 spade. Probably gonna be pretty close to a range check. I don't mind a bet here, especially queens. Jacks would definitely have to bet. I don't know, he's in early position, so I think that we can get away with the bet more times than not. But anyways, I check and he checks behind. Turn's not great, it's the king of hearts, so an overcard. Not loving it, so I'm just gonna check again, and he checks behind again. River, 3 of diamonds, so any 5 is a straight, but I'm not too worried about it. We gotta go for some value here. I don't really know what we're gonna get called by. Hopefully the hand like ace jack or something. Some ace highs. I imagine be betting most pairs on the flop, like 7s plus, or anything really. So up in 1k, and now he puts in the check raise up to 3,000. Not a check raise, just a raise. This spot, you almost always just snap fold, don't even think about it. But we played a hand earlier with him, and he did the same thing when the pot was checked down in like a $600 pot. And I went for a bet on the river. He raised me with absolute nothing and just tabled it. So, you know, he won 600 there, but I think that he's just going for this line again. So I toss in the call, and my opponent rolls over. Ace jack, we got him, we got him. It's really nice to pick that one off, remembering how we played the last hand. And that's gonna do it for day 1. We were in for 15,000, out for 24,000 and change. That's a win of $9,730. Good way to start, we're about 10% of the way there. The game was good until around 5 p.m., so I played for about 4 hours. Then it got very reg heavy and the game started getting quite nitty, so just decided to get out of there and call it a day. I'm at 25 hours played now here in Macau. My win rate is around 157.86 Canadian, so around 9 big blinds an hour. It's all right. I actually haven't played a pot that's 200 big blinds or bigger yet, so hopefully we're gonna do that in day 2. Stick around, and let's jump to day 2. All right, on to day number 2. We are back at the win, bought in for 20,000 this time. Our bankroll is slightly bigger, so happy to put in more money in the beginning. We have a early position, middle position raised to 300. Out down at a suited 10. The Doyle Brunson, 10 deuce suited, and probably should fold, but I don't think calling's too bad either, so I make the call. Go heads up to a flop of jack, 7-3 rainbow, not even a spade, there's no hope. Gonna check fold here, but my opponent checks behind. Hence the turn, it's the 5 of diamonds. No help, so once again, going to execute my plan of check folding. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to that. My opponent once again checks behind. River is interesting. It's a 7 of diamonds, a card that's going to be a lot better for me than it is for my opponent, as this guy bets way too merged. So he is never going to have trips here. He will always bet it at least on the flop, and if not on the flop, on the turn. So because we're so polar, I'm going to use a big bet. I go 1.2k, 2x pot, and after quite a bit of thought, my opponent throws out some chips. I get ready to roll over my hand, but he's raised us to 3.5k. At least make it believable. Come on. What is this? What are you even trying to rep here? Like the nut flush? You're saying that you checked back ace king of diamonds twice? No. No. You bet way too merged. This is absolute garbage. I do not believe it. So I bump it up 9,000 into the middle, and we face a very long tank. I imagine this is all about him just trying to save face, because he probably has nothing. Maybe 5% of the time he does have a nut flush, but other than that, nothing. And eventually he decides that's enough Hollywooding, lets his hand go, and we table the 10-2 suited and take that one down. Okay, on to the next hand. By the way, I'm going to preface this one with this entire video, I was extremely card dead. It's the most card dead I've ever been in the month. I'm probably going to bring it up about 20 more times during this video, but just remember, guys, I am extremely card dead. It's been about an hour and a half into the session. I have not been dealt a top 20% hand yet. So we have a limp under the gun. Small blind makes it 300, and we call in the big blind. I think this is okay. I think this is fine. And now under the gun is in the tank. 2 minutes in the tank. And I'm just waiting. Just hurry up and limp re-raise your goddamn aces so I can fold. But after 2 minutes, she decides on a call. Okay. Very long tank for 200, 2 big blinds, but you go 3 ways to a flop. It's ace, queen, queen, rainbow. Pretty good. Small blind is now going to bet out for slightly over half pot, 500. Just going to call here in position. And now the under the gun limper puts in the raise up to 3,500, a 7x raise. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Small blind gets out the way, and I really want to fold here. It doesn't feel like we're good. It feels like she's trapping us. I don't know, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It's been ages since I played a hand, so I make the call, and we're probably going to make an absurdly tight fold given the SPR on the river, on the turn. However, the turn is the queen of spades. We make quads. I check it over, and she snap shoves 6,200 into the middle. Of course we call. River, deuce of hearts. My opponent rolls over the ace 5 offsuit. I was not expecting that, but thank you very much. And that is our first 200 big blind pot. Quads versus top full house, but what a weird hand. What a very, very strange hand, but not complaining. We're up. Let's go to the next hand. Okay, we have finally picked up a playable hand after like 2 hours, maybe 2.5. We got ace jack of clubs, bump it up to 200. Folds round 2 cutoff, who makes the call, and then button puts in the squeeze, and it's a big one, 1.1k. Man, these squeezes are just so big. We should just fold, but I can't find the fold because I haven't played a hand in ages. So I make the call, cutoff gets out the way, go heads up to a flop of 7-4-3, 2 clubs, 1 spade. Check it over to my opponent, who puts in a 1k bet. Nothing to do here. I don't think raising is going to accomplish much. He's definitely got an overpair here, and if not, you know, we're not that far behind ace king, and we could probably blow him off by the river if he does have ace king. So I make the call, turn. It's the beautiful 8 of clubs. They're running good today. Check to my opponent, and luckily he puts in another bet. They are very timid when the flush completes. They really, really like clamp down on their betting frequencies. But 3k into the middle. This is the player that I bluffed with the 10 deuce of spades in the first hand of the day. So just going to move all in here. I don't want to scare a card to come. I don't want him to check back the river. So I move all in. He snap calls us. River, 7 of diamonds. I doubt he's got a full house. I show, and we're picking up another 20k plus pot. Let's go. We're up so much this session. Let's keep going. Let's keep this momentum going and win some more hands. Okay, guys, that is going to wrap up day number 2. Booked a very nice win today of $18,490. I think ace jack suited was the only playable hand I got dealt in the 4 hours I played. It was agonizing, but when you win, you know, nearly 20,000 Hong Kong, that's 4,000, that's 5,000 Canadian. Can't really complain about being card dead now, can you? So yeah, game was once again good until around 4 or 5 p.m. And then 4 of the less good players left and 4 of the more good players came in. So the game gets quite tight and nitty. So just decided to pack it up, call it a day, book our 200-ish big blind win. And we won both pots over 200 big blinds. That is amazing. It's also our first 5-figure win here in Macau. Also, one thing to note, I played 6 sessions here in Macau, won all 6. It's not bad. I'm going to guess my win percentage here is going to be a lot larger than it would in other places. Nobody is putting you in spots. Nobody is bluffing. People are very hesitant to call down. And then their pre-flop 3-bet and 4-bet sizes are just so comically big that you just end up folding. You know, they got kings, they'll make it like 8x over a 3-bet, and you just fold queens every time. It sucks, but you just do it. But our roll's getting a little bit higher. I think I got 70,000 in cash now. So I'm gonna start buying in for 200 to 250 big blinds now. And we are currently at $28,220 of 100K. Let's keep it going tomorrow. All right, guys, so now we're into day 3. Playing for a little bit card dead. We're in for 20,000. Our stack is now down to about 18,000 here. But pick up pocket kings. It's a pretty good hand. Middle position has opened at 300, a very, very action player. Hijack and button up call. We put in the squeeze up to 2,000 Hong Kong dollars. Big blind folds, middle position calls, and everyone else gets out the way. Going heads up to a flop. Comes down 8, 5, 4, 2 diamonds, 1 heart. Against most players, this would just be a check, but his range is going to be a lot wider than most, so we're not too worried because he's going to have these pocket pairs, pocket 8s, pocket 5s, pocket 4s, all pure, so you don't have to be a bit worried, but since his range is a little bit wider, we can bet wider as well for value. Kings is going to make it into there, so 1.5K, and he makes the call. Off to the turn, it is the Jack of Spades. Looking about 2 SPR, got 14,500 behind, pot 7,700, so around a 60% pot bet is going to get it all in by the river. So that is what I do, $5,000. And my opponent snap shoves all in. It's such a gross spot. Against any other recreational, I would just snap fold the kings, not think anything of it, but I've been playing with this guy for a little bit. He's been crushing me in some pots, and he has been bluffing his ass off. He is just going wild today. So after a little bit of thought, I don't think I can fold kings to this opponent. I don't think I can do it. So put on my big boy pants and we make the call. Off to the river. It's the Queen of Clubs, not a card I wanted to see. It introduces some more Queen Jacks suiteds and as well as pocket queens. I tell my opponent, pocket kings, and he shows us the pocket 6s. He was going for it with the gut shot there. Whew, that is our new biggest pot we've won in Macau, $36,700 going our way. Very nice to start the session with a big pot, and this is not the last we're going to hear from this guy. He is here to battle. Okay, on to the next hand. This time, folds around to me on the button. I pick up 10, 5 of spades, bump it on up to 300. The same player from last hand, built up a stacking and got like 40K. 3-bets us to 1K. He's 3-betting everyone. It would be a crime to fold a hand this strong. So I make the call. We're definitely going to battle this guy. Flop comes down king, jack, 3, rainbow. We do have the backdoor spades. Sorry, not rainbow, it's 2 diamonds, 1 spade. We've got backdoor spades, backdoor straight draw. So when he bets 700, nowhere to go but call. Hence the turn, it is the Jack of Clubs. The card's obviously going to be better for me than it is for him. And he does check it over. Our hand is really shit here. Don't really like using spades here, but I don't think it matters too much. I'm going to play with this guy. I put in a bet of 2,600, and he makes a very quick call. So feeling pretty good about it. A little bit lost in here. But river, 7 of spades doesn't improve us. We weren't looking to improve anyways. So opponent checks it. I think this is a spot. I'm just gonna have to go for it. We have 10 high. He's a very action player. His range can be very wide. He's not gonna only have ace king here. He's gonna have a ton of hands. So I put 6,500 Hong Kong money units into the middle, put him to the test. He thinks it over for quite a while. And I get the feeling that he's not gonna fold if he's thinking this long. But after a little bit more thought, he decides to let it go. We're going to get a bluff through. That one feels good. Picking up yet another pot. Our stack is growing. We're up over like 50K or so a day, I think. Yeah, nice. Let's keep this going. Let's keep this going. Okay, on to the next hand. And once again, our friend is going to 3-bet us. But this time we got pocket aces. Bumping on up 300. Folds around to the button, which is our friend. Makes it 1K. Small blind. Now cold calls, and when it's back on us, we are definitely going to put in the raise. 2.5x plus the 1x because one extra caller, so 3,500. Unfortunately, our friend was getting way out of line and snap folds. And then the small blind rejams for 5,000. Okay, nice. We call. Hello. Flop comes down. King, 5-4, 2 diamonds. Turn, deuce of clubs, river, 6 of diamonds. My opponent rolls over the ace, king, with only the ace of diamonds. Nice to be on the business side of one of these pre-flop coolers for once in Macau. On to the next hand. We are running hot today. We pick up pocket 5s in early position, bump it up to 200. We get 4 callers, including our friend. Flop comes down, king, 5-3, rainbow. We got ourselves middle set here. So when it checks to me, I'm gonna put more money into the pot with a strong hand. It's not rocket science. 300 into the middle. And now our friend puts in the raise up to 900. The other 2 fold, I make the call. I want to trap him. Turn comes down. Unfortunately, the worst card in the deck, the king of hearts. This is just gonna stop all his bluffs. He's never gonna think that he can make me full trips. So think about leading here, but I just wanna give him any chance to put in any amount of money. I check, and he does check back. River's the deuce of hearts. Please just have a flush. I check once again, because I don't think we're gonna get hero called by anything here. If he's got a king, we can definitely get a check raise in, so I check. Unfortunately, he checks this one back, and he's a little bit too smart. We're gonna pick up a small pot here with our middle set, but still another pot coming our way. All right, guys, on to the final hand of this session. We pick up ace queen off in the big blind. There is a raise to 300, and you're not gonna believe it. It's our friend again. He's in another pot. He's in every single hand this session because he plays so many, and we are having a very fun time battling him. But he has made it 900 in middle position, and ace queen off. Definitely gonna be ahead of his 3-bet range. Hopefully under the gun doesn't have a real hand, but I'm gonna put in the cold 4-bet up to 2,700 with the ace queen off. Under the gun folds, and our friend makes the call. Heads up to a flop of ace, 10-3, 2 spades, 1 heart. This is gonna be deadly. I put in a small bet here, 1.2K, about 25% for a 4-bet pot, and he makes the call. Hence the turn, it is the 8 of hearts. Board's getting a little bit more connected now. There are 2 flush draws. There's gonna be almost every river in the deck is gonna be tough to play, so I don't want to go for another bet here. I'm gonna check it over to my opponent, and he's gonna decide if we play a medium pot or a very, very large pot. So I check, and he decides to play a very large pot. 5K into the middle. We are obviously going nowhere at this point, so I make the call. Let's get a clean river. It comes down. The 3 of clubs, about as clean as it gets, unless he had, 3-4 suited or something. But it does counterfeit 10-8, which is kind of nice. I check it once again, and my opponent, slight overbet, $19,000 into the middle. Whew. Tough spot. Sometimes, even if they are recreational blasting off, they are going to have it. But give it some thought. What is he repping? Ace king, ace 10, ace 8, pocket 10s, pocket 8s, pocket 3s, I guess, ace 3. There are quite a few value hands, so I'm not completely comfortable with this, but at the end of the day, I don't think we can fold this guy. It's not a fun spot. I wish I had a better hand, but I am going to put in the hero call. The pot is $56,350. I call, my opponent looks at me, and I say ace queen. He says, "You have ace queen?" Like, yes. He's like, "Then you're good," and mucks his hand. That is now our new biggest pot here in Macau. That is just over $11,000 or $12,000 Canadian. So very big 5-figure pot coming our way. And that is going to wrap up session 3. What a session, boyos. 4 hours played, won $51,430, putting us at a total of $79,650. This is also going to massively inflate our win rate. We're now winning 31 big blinds an hour, which is around 660 Canadian an hour. I like that. Also, a really big note here This is actually gonna be a new peak for my overall poker bankroll. Back in January, it's now June. So back in January, I lost a $20,000 session. And this is the first time I've been above that and now recovered from that. So it feels nice, you know, it's been 5 months of not running very well in Vancouver or here in Macau. But anyways, that feels very good. If you do want to see where I lost 20,000, it is a video titled The Biggest Punt in Poker History. Go check it out. It's terrible. Yeah, $79,650. Just over 200 big blinds left to go. Let's get it. All right, folks, on to day number 4 now. We've been quite card dead, once again, but can't really complain after that last session. So anyways, we open up the King, Queen of Hearts under the gun, and as we do, the King of Spades gets flashed and exposed and mucked. So we are missing one out. Middle position calls, and now button puts in the squeeze up to 900. This guy is a 100, 200 reg. I don't know, I think I should just fold here, but it's been like an hour and a half and I haven't played a hand yet. So once again, I'm gonna make an undisciplined call, which is seeming to be the trend of this video. I make the call, middle position calls as well. We go 3 ways to a flop of 9, 6, 4, 2 spades, 1 club. I check, middle position checks, and now button checks behind. So I don't know about that, but we see the King of Diamonds on the turn. Really nice card here, but just gonna check it over to him once again. Middle position checks, and now button puts in the bet of 1.5K, around half pot. We make the call, middle position folds. Officer River is the 4 of diamonds. I check it over, and we face a 4,800 bet. It's like 80%. He's repping such a narrow range here. It's like ace, king, pocket kings, pocket aces. Like, that's it. That's the only hands he's repping. Unfortunately, all 3 of those do beat us, which kind of sucks. But I think if he squeezed a hand like Jack 10, Queen Jack, Queen 10, they would take this line as well. And there's a lot more of those. Plus, it's 100, 200 reg. We ought to give him credit for bluffs, I think. So, seeing as 1 king was exposed, it's not too many hands. I make the call, and my opponent shows pocket aces. They're just not squeezing these Jack 10s, Queen Jacks. They're not finding them. So, I really, in the moment, I thought it had to be a fold. But with the exposed king and having so few value hands, I just went for the call. Unfortunately, we are going to start off our session down about 7,000. All right, guys, on to the next hand. We have an under the gun player open up to 300. I'll look down at 9, 8 of clubs in the hijack. Make the call here. Small blind calls and big blind calls. We go 4 ways to this flop of 9, 3, deuce, rainbow. No backdoor flush draw for us. Small blind, big blind, and original razor check it to me. Gonna have to bet here for protection. I put in 400, small blind, big blind fold, and under the gun now puts in a 4x raise up to 1.6. He seems to be very willing to battle with me. He's seen me just show down some absolute ridiculous bluffs in the first 2 hours, so he looks like he wants to play. So against most people, this would just be a snap fold, but against him, we're gonna have to call. Off to the turn is the 6 of diamonds. My opponent once again puts another bet, 3,000. I'm just gonna call one more time. I just have a feeling, all right? I just have a bad feeling that he's up to no good. So once again, I make the call. We head to the river. 7 of hearts, board's getting very connected now. My opponent gives it a little bit of thought and then moves all in for 9,100. It's very tough for him to have bluffs here. But the more I think about it, the more I think this would be pretty suicidal to go for value here with an overpair. You know, check raise the flop 4 ways. Barrel, turn, and river. When the board is getting very connected, I can have a lot of 2 pairs. I can have a lot of sets here. So I think the main value that he has is now just, he's gonna have to check this river. So he's repping top set, maybe? You know, middle set, like a set. I don't think he's going to go for value here with aces, so after a little bit of thoughts, I decide if he's got a set, he wins. I make the call, and he rolls over the ace 4 of spades. We pick that one off, and we're going to scoop another over 200 big blind pot. That is beautiful. I really like his hand selection, by the way. Ace 4 has the gut shot, blocks a few of my continues, blocks ace 9, blocks 4-5, also has backdoor flush, backdoor straight. I really like that hand, how he played it. On to the next one. This time we got pocket queens. It's been a while, but we're not picking up many hands, guys. We're very card dead. Middle position limp, cutoff, and button have called. I put in the squeeze up to 2,000 with a pocket queens. Big blind now puts in the cold 4-bet. And as he's doing so, I'm already ready to just throw my hand into the muck. But he makes it 4,000. Can't fold for that price, so I make the call. Go heads up to a flop of 10, 10, 5, rainbow. Check it over, and my opponent checks it back. Alarm bells are screaming. Turn is the king of diamonds, as if the board wasn't bad enough. We are now losing to everything. I check once again, and my opponent checks behind once again. River, 5 of spades. I'm going to continue to execute my plan of check folding. I check. My opponent puts in a bet of 4,000. This is never a bluff. If he was going to bluff, he would have done it on an earlier street. Maybe his queens is going for some thin value, but that would bet the flop, right? He's got aces, maybe kings, but probably aces, so I think this is a pretty easy fold. And my opponent is very upset to see that I folded pocket queens like that. But, you know, when you don't have cold 4-bet range that contains any bluffs, it makes it quite easy to play against. Unfortunately, his pre-flop sizing did lure us in for an extra 2K, but that is all right. On to the next hand. All right, guys, final 2 hands of the session. Pick up ace-jack off, bump it up to 200, folds around to the button, who is pretty much just as card dead as I am, and I can see he's getting very frustrated. Puts in the 3-bet up to 800. A little bit bigger than he's normally been going. He's been going anywhere from like 500 to 700. Very weird to have a reg that varies their 3-bet sizes, but I don't know. Anyways, because it's so big, I assume he's just got a hand that just wants to take it down pre-flop. As well, I can see he's quite a bit frustrated, so I'm going to go for the 4-bet. 2,400 into the middle, and he makes a pretty quick call, which I imagine is just out of tilt. So I'm not too worried. The flop comes down 10, 9, 4, 2 spades, 1 club. Jack 10 and 10, 9 high boards are out of position. I put in around a 10% bet with my entire range. I just have the massive overwhelming nut advantage in terms of overpairs, but we are losing to a lot of sets that we're really not going to have too often. So I like this 10% bet here, up into 500, and my opponent makes the call. Hence a turn, 5 of hearts, pretty much a blank. It's looking like we're about 22,000 behind, so we're going to have to bet pretty close to pot if we want to get all in by the river. I'm only going to bluff spades on the river because having the jack of spades. So I move 5,000 in chips into the middle, and we get a very, very quick fold. So nice to pick that one up. And for the final hand of the session, by the way, this is like a 4-hour session. We barely played any hands, but we pick up pocket jacks, a real hand, 300. And the player that had kings versus us when we had queens, we had kings or aces and we had queens, now 3-bets us to 1K. Always goes like this when you're card dead. You pick up a big hand, someone always has something bigger, or you pick up a medium-sized hand and you get re-raised. But anyways, 300, 1K, we're very deep, I make the call. Heads up to a flop of king, queen, 5, 1 heart, 2 diamonds. I check, my opponent puts in a very small bet of 700, and I just get out of there. My opponent is nice enough to show us that he did have the pocket kings for top set. A little bit rough there. That was session 4. It was our first losing session here in Macau. I lost $2,620, so a very small loss. It took us 3.5 hours to drag in our second pot of the day with the ace-jack. But after 5 hours of play, it's quite a long session for me here in Macau. I called it quit. I made top pair twice, so couldn't really get much going. And that is going to be our first loss in Macau, but for how card dead I was and running into 2 bigger pairs than mine, I'd say that's a win. We only lost 2,620. Pretty unfortunate because we did have a really big hand where we hero called the top pair with a 9. But anyways, 77,000 in the challenge, 23,000 to go. Let's get it tomorrow. right, folks, day number 5. Let's go. This first hand, we face an under the gun plus 2 opens 200. Look down at pocket 5s in. They hijack, low jack, make the call. This also invites the big blind in, so we're going 3 ways to this flop of 8, 7, deuce, rainbow. Checks to me, just going to check this one back. Turn is the 4 of clubs. Big blind now bets up for 500. Original razor folds. I make the call. Could probably argue for a fold here, but this time I do decide for a call. River, another 7. And now he bets very small, 700. Maybe pocket 6s. Just want a nice cheap showdown. I'm the most likely one to have a 7 here, as 7 probably not going to bet out too often on the turn, you know? So I decided to go for the raise. I put in a $3,000 chunky raise, and my opponent thanks for 30 seconds and makes the call with the 10-7 offsuit. Unfortunate, that one not going to go our way. Not doing well. All right, on to the next hand. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. I am once again very card dead. We're like an hour or something into the sessions, only second hand I picked up. But we have an under the gun limp, button and small blind have called, and I look down at pocket queens. Good enough for a raise. I put it into 800, and before I can even put my chips in the middle, the under the gun limper has shoved for 4K. Folds back around to me, and I fold my hand faster than my opponent can put in the all in. I have mucked my cards, and you won't believe it, he had aces. Once again, pre-flop, just getting killed with our big pairs. It's not going well, you guys. Let's do one more hand while we're here. This time, it's my turn. The big pair, pocket aces. I bump it up to 200, and everybody folds. Okay, on to the next few hands. This one, under the gun, middle position, low jack have all limped. I look down at ace, queen off, as well as cutoff is limped. Bump it up to 700 on the button. Folds round, middle position, low jack, call, and cutoff folds. So 3 ways to this flop of ace, 9, 9, 2 hearts, 1 spade. Middle position checks, low jack now leads out for 1.5K. Limp call, over limp call, donk, ace, 9, 9. Already pretty gross, but we make the call. Middle position also calls, so I'm pretty done with the hand at this point. Turn, it's 3 of spades. Hey guys, just watch out for the camera. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Turn is 3 of spades. Middle position checks, low jack checks. I also check. I'm very worried about my camera, but river, another 3 of hearts. I'm completely done with the hand now. Middle position checks, low jack checks. I check, and middle position somehow has ace, king, offsuit, and wins. Okay, on to the next hand. Open the 6, 5 of clubs, under the gun to 200. Cutoff makes the call. We are heads up to this flop of ace, 7, 4, 2 clubs, 1 spade. We got ourselves a combo draw. I start off with a check. These ace sort of low boards are very high frequency checks, but cutoff bets, and now we're going to spring the trap. 1.2K over his $400 raise, and he makes the call. Opposite turn, it's a 10 of hearts. Usually I would check this hand, but I don't think he's going to raise the turn enough. I think he's got a medium strength hand, so I'm going to keep applying pressure here. 2.5K is the bet, and I was wrong because he now raised it to 7,000. Leaving himself very little behind, maybe 2.6K, but we can't fold. I make the call. River, jack of hearts, unfortunate. I check, he snap shoves, and we snap fold. On to the next hand. Okay, on to the next few hands. We have a middle position raise to 300. Cutoff is called. I look down at queen jack off on the button. I open up my range a little bit here on the button to flat. I play around essentially like a no rake ante type range when I'm flatting on the button. We just get to steal so many pots here. So I make the call. Big blind calls. We're 4 ways to this flop of queen, 9, deuce, 2 diamonds, 1 spade. Action checks to me. Going to start with a bet here. Always go 1/3 in position. 300, sorry. And big blind puts in the check raise up to 1.2K. This guy hates me. I don't know why. He just doesn't like me. I don't know why. But I think he's going to spaz out quite a bit versus us, so I make the call. Turn is interesting. It's a jack of diamonds. We improve the top 2, but the flush does get there, as well as some straight draws, 10-8, king 10. Not too thrilled, but now he checks to me. I'm going to go for some value here. About half pot is what I go, so 2K, and he does make the call. River, deuce of spades, doesn't change anything. Guess now we lose to a few more hands. Not really though. It's not really check raising calling turn, but he checks, and I think this is a little bit too thin, but I also think that he is going to hero call us quite a bit because he just hates us. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But I'm going to go for it. I put in a value bet, 5,500 into the middle, and it's kind of tough to get paid here. You know, all my hands really just got there. Have to be bluffing with a hand like Jack 10, which I might just be happy to take the showdown with at that point. And I probably wouldn't really bet the turn Jack 10. So I don't know, it's really hard for me to have bluffs here, but he does make the call. We're hoping we're good. I roll it over, and he folds. 19,000 pot there coming our way. On to the next hand. We have 2 limpers, and I look down at 8-6 of clubs in the cutoff, bump it up to 500. Folds back around, and they both make the call. We go 3 ways to this flop, a 5-3 deuce. 2 clubs. We got ourselves a gutter, a backdoor, more gutter, and a flush draw. Checks to me, gonna start with a bet here, 500 into the middle, under the gun folds, and now hijack puts in the raise up to 2,000. That is a big raise. But I make the call. We go to the turns, 10 of hearts. Hijack, once again, bets 3,000, 500 into the middle. We're gonna have to make the call. We're gonna have to call this. I make the call. River, 8 of spades. We kind of get there. And now he only bets 2,000. Ugh, kind of gross. Do we pay it? Is this like pocket sixes that just want to don't want to face a big bet? I don't know. I'm going to pay it. I make the call, and my opponent rolls over the 5-3 of spades for the flop top 2. Unfortunate. That one's not going to go our way. Next hand, middle position, raise up to 100. We look down at ace queen off, bump it up to 400. And now small blind puts in the 3-bet, 1.2K. He's been quite aggressive. I am going to put him to the test. We put in the 4-bet, 3,000 to go, and my opponent makes the call. Heads up to a flop, queen, 10-7, 2 clubs, 1 spade. Feels pretty good. We also have the ace of clubs, so when he checks to me, quarter pot bet sounds good, 1,500, and he makes the call. Turn's not great, it's a 10 of hearts. I don't really expect him to have too many 10s, but if there was one of us that is gonna have a 10, it is him. So he checks. I'm just gonna check this back. I think it's getting a little bit too thin to continue barreling here. River, it's kind of nice. The ace of diamonds, we make top 2. We're losing to a few hands, but not that many. So when he checks, we are gonna go for some value here. I don't wanna go too small. I put in 8,000, and unfortunately, my opponent just snap folds. That, my friends, is the final hand of session number 5. Yeah, it's actually another tough session for us. We did win a few big pots, but we actually booked a loss this session, minus $6,750. So not a huge one, but 2 losses in a row. We couldn't get there with our combo draws in 2 really big pots. Also, we had aces twice and we won less than $1,000 with them. We just took down the blinds and took down a flop bet, so not great, but that's how it is sometimes. We are still at 70,280 in the challenge. 300 big blinds to go now. We'll get them tomorrow. Guys. Okay, folks, that is going to wrap up episode 100. I'm going to turn this into a 2-part series. The video is getting a little bit long. I still have about 4 or 5 more sessions to share with you guys. The challenge is sitting at just around 70,000. So we got 30K to go, 300 big blinds. Easy does it. And then the next video after part 2 will be a live stream video in Hong Kong. So get ready for that. Subscribe if you want to see the new videos and chuck us a like. Get out of here.